Hello, welcome to Bits in Biology. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the games that I played in October and November 2024. So I'm covering 2 months in this video instead of the usual one because I got very busy in November and did not record an October vlog. And we're actually close to the end of December, and here I am recording the double vlog. So look for December to come up soon because I am no longer quite as busy as I was. Anyway, in October and November, so across those 2 months, I had 131 plays from 62 different games. And the way that broke out was 66 plays of 35 different games in October, and 65 plays, very similar, from 33 different games in November. The overlap between those 2 months, which is kind of interesting, Scout, which I will talk about, Tournament at Avalon, a favorite of our sons, Numpsters, which I have talked about before, Horrified American Monsters, which we played on Halloween, and then again the next day. We also, in both months, played Micropolis and Verdant Arizona. So I'll talk about that one when I talk about the channel relevant games. 17 of those 62 different games were new to me in descending order of how much I enjoyed them. They were Ultimate Railroads, Endeavor Deep Sea, Rebuilding Seattle, Votes for Women, Canvas, HYVE, Nidavellir, Scout, Living Planet, Fun Facts, Nut, Verdant Arizona, Onirim, Koala Rescue Club, and Marvel Champions, the card game. That one ends up at the end. I've only played it twice. I'm not really sure what I think about it yet, so expect to hear more about that one in the future. 11 of the 62 games were relevant for the channel, so I'll talk about all 11 of those, and 4 of those 11 were new to me. If you want to see a list of all of the games that I played in October and November, you can visit my profile on Board Game Geek and just look all the way down to the bottom of the profile page, and that's where I have the list of ranked games. You can see that. There's a link for that down in the description. If we compare this to September, the last month that I had a vlog for, I had 68 plays of 31 different games, 8 of which were new to me. So pretty similar across all 3 months of September, October, November. So this might end up being a little bit of a lengthy video since it does cover 2 months. And as always, you can use timestamps in the description below to skip around. All right, before we get into the top 10 games that I played in October and November, I just want to mention first our Discord and encourage you to come join us there. We have a small but growing community of like-minded people who are interested in nature and science and games with those themes. Really nice group of folks. And it is free, and there is a link to that in the description. I also want to apologize for the gap in content. Thank you for those of you who have stuck around and even subscribed during that gap. We've gained quite a few subscribers, as I'll talk about at the end of the video. I was overly optimistic with my ability to keep up with content with an increased workload. I learned that I basically need to streamline parts of this whole video making process in order to be able to balance those things. So working on that. The good news is that spring semester, my workload is similar to what it was last spring when I started the channel. So I don't foresee having more big gaps in the near future. Okay, that out of the way, let's get to the top 10 games that I played in October and November. So as usual, this list is drawn from all of the games that I played in October and November, and then we'll follow that with a list of all of the channel relevant, the nature-themed, science-themed, animal-themed games that I played across those 2 months. And like I said before, there's 11 of those. So we start with number 10 and work our way to number 1. And just a reminder about why I even talk about these, because a lot of them are not channel relevant. And that is just to give you an idea of the types of games I like and maybe give you some ideas of games you've not heard of that you might be interested in. Okay, so let's get going. So 4 of these top 10 from October and November were new to me, and 2 of the top 10 are channel relevant games with a nature, animal, or science theme. Number 10 is Mandala. This is a 2-player hand management set collection game with a bit of area majority. I played it one time. Actually, I should say we played it one time. It is a 2-player game. I have played it 8 times total. It takes about 20 minutes to play, sometimes even less. It has an average BGG weight of 1.78, an average rating on BGG of 7.5, and my rating of it is an 8.8. I really like this game, although I'm terrible at it. Although I did win my first game. That was the game that I played. I can't remember if I played this in October or November, one of those 2 months. But this is a game my partner and I very much enjoy. I just want to read you first, before I go into a bit more detail, the little blurb that is on the BGG description. And it says, because this is as close to theme as you're going to get, it's pretty much an abstract strategy game. It says, the mandala, the symbol of an ancient and sacred ritual. Colored sand is laid to create a symbolic map of the world before the pattern is ceremonially destroyed and the sand cast into the river. That's as close to a theme as this gets. On your turn, you may play either a single card into one of the mountains, a central area on the linen playmat, or one or more matching cards into one of your fields. And so each player there's 2 mountains, those are the 2 central areas on the linen playmat, and each player has on either side of each mountain what's called their field. And so you're either playing cards into the mountain or into your field. And in doing so, you have to follow something called the rule of color. And this is that once a color has been played into the mountain, it can no longer be played into either of the 2 adjacent fields, and vice versa. So a little bit limiting there. There are 6 colors in the game, 18 of each, and the game ends when you cycle through the deck. Points you earn for cards of a particular color are determined by when you add that color to your scoring lineup. So every time you collect cards of a color you've not collected before, you're going to add that card to your scoring lineup, and cards you collect earlier are worth fewer points than cards you collect later. So I really like the puzzle of this game. Like I said, I'm very bad at it, kind of like Azul, another abstract strategy game I am not good at, but very much enjoy. It has a really unique linen playmat. I'm not actually a fan of the square cards, but I think I would be even less of a fan of circular cards. So, you know, there you go. But it is a really nice game. And that is Mandala, number 10. Coming in at number 9 is a game that we played the weekend before the election here in the United States, and that is Votes for Women. I backed the reprint of this on Kickstarter, and it fulfilled, I think, in October, or it may have just been a few days before we played it. I was pretty excited about this one. We played this 2 times, and I've played it 2 times total, so I haven't been able to get it back to the table since then, but I am dying to. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. This is an area majority hand management game. For 1 to 4 players, plays in about 60 to 75 minutes. It has an average BGG weight of 2.38, an average rating of 7.6, and my rating of it is a 9. And that may actually go up. I haven't played it solo yet. I've only played it at 3 players. So Votes for Women is a card-driven game about the American women's suffrage movement from 1848 to 1920, culminating with the ratification, or rejection in the game in any case, of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. To win, you have to do 2 things. First, convince Congress to pass the 19th Amendment, and 2, have 3/4 of the state, so there were 48 at the time, so you need 36 out of the 48 to ratify that amendment. The opposition wins if they can get just 13 states to reject the 19th Amendment, so you have an uphill battle as the suffragists. Each turn, or round, so this is the terminology, I guess, comes out of war games. I'm not totally familiar with them, so they call what are normally called turns are called rounds, and what are normally called rounds are called turns. So apologies for any confusion. So each turn, what we would normally call a round, is composed of 4 phases. You have the planning phase where you draw cards, the strategy phase where you roll dice to win one of the strategy cards that can help you during the game, the operations phase, this is the meat of the game, where players take turns playing cards, and then that's followed by the cleanup phase where players get ready for the next turn, or round as we would call it. This game is interesting in that it can be played cooperatively, competitively, or solo. And actually there's another game in my list that has those qualities as well. When you play it solo, you play against the Oppobot, which I think is kind of a fun name. Actually, when you play it cooperatively, you also play against the Oppobot. We played it competitively. We played it twice at 3 players. So it was me, my partner, and our son. And the first game, our son wanted to play the opposition, and then the second game we played, I played the opposition. So a lot of the reviewers who have reviewed this game have expressed distaste at the idea of playing the opposition, but I saw an interview with Tori Brown, the designer of the game, where they were pointing out the fact that to really understand a point in history, you do have to understand both sides. And so playing the opposition gives you that little window into that side of, you know, this whole point in history. So it actually was pretty interesting for me to play the opposition. There is a lot of historical information on the cards, and just in the way that the game is set up, it really, I think, does a really good job of capturing that point in time. I'm really looking forward to playing this game solo. Along with this game came a lot of historical documents and background information, and so that's not unique to Kickstarter. There's not a Kickstarter version of this game. It's just one version, and it's really well produced. The components are quite nice. The cards, like I said, also have historical information on them. The artwork is simple, but it's effective, along with the graphic design, so quite well done. Anyway, that is number 9, Votes for Women. Coming in at number 8 is Lost Ruins of Arnak. We got to the table for the first time in well over a year, actually, which is surprising because me and my partner both love this game. We played it 2 times, so 3 players with my son, and he enjoyed it as well. We've played it a total of 10 times, and actually I think we've probably played it more than that because I didn't start recording my plays until January of 2022, and I think we got this before then. I can't quite remember. Anyway, it is a deck building game with multi-use cards. I love multi-use cards. It has a card market, and then it has contracts for you to fulfill. It plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 120 minutes, so big range of time there. Has an average weight on BGG of 2.92, an average rating of 8.1, and my rating of it is a 9. I love this game, and we actually have both expansions. We haven't broken them out yet. Expedition Leaders, and I can't remember the name of the second one, but the second one has a solo campaign that I'm pretty excited about. I've not played this game solo yet, so I'm looking forward to that. In Lost Ruins of Arnak, you are researchers who are exploring an uninhabited island, looking for artifacts and learning the secrets of the island. You know, researching the island, basically. On their turn, players can explore ruins, purchase gear, or work their way up the research track. At the center of it all is your deck of cards. It's a pretty slim deck of cards. This is a deck building game. But the cards are multi-use and can be used to place your workers or for their specific effects. The game lasts only 5 rounds. They go really quick. I'm always surprised when the 4th round comes around and we're almost done. And in those rounds, players are going to take turns until all players pass. The rounds go quickly, so you have to plan your turns very carefully. At the end of the game, I am always thinking about things I could have done differently in this game, making me want to play it again right away, although we don't usually do that because it is quite a lengthy game, but it's in a fun way that I can think about things I wish I had done differently. The game is full of tough decisions, and that makes it really a lot of fun. And that is number 8, Lost Ruins of Arnak. All right, that was 3 games I haven't talked about yet on this channel. At number 7 is one I've mentioned quite a few times because it is a favorite of my mom's, and that is Carcassonne at number 7. We played it 1 time in those 2 months, and we've played it 27 times total. I think that's about right. I think we got this one after January of 2022. Can't remember. This is a tile placement, area majority pattern building game with, we also include the Traders and Builders expansion, which has a bit of set collection to go along with it. It plays 2 to 5 players in 30 to 45 minutes. I think we're closer to 45 because we actually have, I can't remember, maybe 2 or 3 different expansions that we've thrown in all the tiles for. We really only play with the Traders and Builders and really only part of that. Anyway, so it takes us closer to 45 minutes. Average weight on BGG of 1.89, an average rating of 7.4, and my rating of it is a 9. I really like this game. Very simple rules, but lots to think about and very competitive, lots of player interaction in a good way. Well, I guess some people could see it as negative player interaction. Our son's always trying to hone in on other people's cities to try and score along with them. The really fun thing is my mom picked up on that in the last game, and she was doing a really good job of it. So I was pretty proud to see her do that. She's coming along as a gamer. Anyway, Carcassonne is a tile-laying game where players take turns placing a tile. Optionally, after placing a tile, they can also place a meeple on the tile that they just placed to claim a road or a city or maybe a farm or a monastery, as long as somebody else has not already claimed it. You score points by completing cities and roads that you have claimed, as well as by surrounding monasteries and farms. I think they're called farms. I can't remember. That's what you put your abbots on? I think they're abbots. Yeah, I'm not familiar with all the terminology. So like I said, we have a few expansions for this game, but we mostly use them just to increase the number of tiles in the game because really I love the simplicity of Carcassonne, and I thought I would want more expansions, but when I really thought about adding them in, I thought, do I really want that added complexity? So we haven't tried them yet. We may try them if we play without my mom sometime and see what we think. So like I said, my mom really enjoys this one. She was drawn to it first by the name. It's named after a medieval French town famous for its city walls. So she knew about that history. And then once she played it, she was totally won over. She really likes this one. And that is number 7, Carcassonne. Number 6 is a channel relevant game. So I'll talk about it when I talk about those games. And that is AQUA, Biodiversity in the Oceans. Coming in at number 5 is a game I think I've talked about before on this channel, and that is Azul, another abstract strategy game that I'm really terrible at. But I actually think I won this one too. I guess I was having a good run at abstract strategy in October and November. Anyway, we played this one 3 times. Actually, we played it as a family one time. I played a solo variant twice. It's a fan-made solo variant that was actually quite good. We've played this 13 times total. This is a tile placement, open drafting, pattern building game with set collection. It plays 2 to 4 players, or if you do a fan-made solo variant, you could even do 1 to 4 in about 30 to 45 minutes. It has a, I don't have the weight on here. It looks like I have a typo in my notes. I'm just gonna guess the weight on this is probably around a 2. Could be wrong. When I'm in editing, I will flash it up on the screen right now for the average BGG weight. The average rating on BGG is 7.7, so actually quite high for BGG. My rating of it is a 9.3. I have not grown tired of Azul. We've played it bunches, and I don't think it'll ever leave our collection. It's a very good game. In Azul, players are artisans decorating the walls of the royal palace of Evora in Portugal, but like I said, it's actually abstract strategy, so the theme doesn't totally come through, except for maybe in the artwork. On your turn, you draft tiles from the supply, placing them in rows on your player board. At the end of each round, players move the tiles from the rows to their wall, and they score points based on how those tiles are placed relative to other tiles, so it's the scoring during the game. At the end of the game, players score bonus points for collecting sets of tiles, basically getting complete sets of different types of tiles, and for completing rows and columns on their wall. So like I said, I really enjoy this game. I'm terrible at it. Our son usually does quite well at this game, but he's not a fan because he's not a fan of multiplayer solitaire. I actually think my mom won our last game, so she's getting quite a bit better at these games. Anyway, that is number 5, Azul. So on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays, depending on what our son has going on, but usually on Saturdays, me, my partner, and our son usually play a heavier game in the morning, and then we play it again in the evening so that we get a chance to play some of these heavier games that my mom doesn't enjoy playing. And we had 3 weekends in a row of fabulous games, and this is one of them. Number 4 is Rebuilding Seattle. So this is a game that was new to me. I think we played this one in October. We played it 3 times. Actually, we played it 2 times, the 3 of us, and then I played it 1 time solo. This is a tile placement, set collection, and grid coverage game. So in grid coverage, I had to look this up, what this meant actually. I mean, it seems intuitive what it would mean, but this is what BGG says. It says it's a family of mechanisms in which players cover a grid or fill a space using a variety of shapes. This includes the coverage of areas defined by shape or color on the board itself with pieces or tiles. So in this case, we're using tiles. It's sometimes called a Tetris mechanism, which would be totally appropriate to Rebuilding Seattle. And they say that this challenges players to use shapes efficiently. And I would say that's absolutely true in this game because you score points very often on adjacency of shapes to each other. So sometimes you want to get as many different tiles touching a single tile as possible. Anyway, this plays 1 to 5 players in 60 to 120 minutes. It has an average weight on Board Game Geek of 2.32, an average rating of 7.6, and my rating of it right now is a 9.4. Could go up, not likely to go down. But I need to play it some more to really get a handle on that. So the premise of this game is that the Great Fire of 1889 has burned down most of downtown Seattle, and you are the city planner tasked with rebuilding it. Rebuilding Seattle is played over 3 rounds. Each of those rounds consists of 4 phases. Players first increase their population, and this isn't usually a good thing because you have to be able to provide enough restaurants, entertainment venues, and shopping opportunities for your population. In the next phase, players take turns drafting tiles, activating events, and enacting laws. Well, you get to act 1 law per round. And once all players have passed, they get to collect their profits and then prepare for the next round. And your profits depend on the combination of the venues that you have and your population. The higher your population, actually the less profits you're going to have. It's an interesting tug of war. So I was probably always going to buy this game because I grew up in Seattle, but I was put over the edge by Paul Grogan's glowing review of this game. So if you don't know about Paul Grogan, he has a YouTube channel called Gaming Rules, which is excellent, and I love listening to his monthly vlogs, and he also has a live Q&A every month, and he does playthroughs and tutorials. Not so many reviews, but he's very good at explaining the rules to games, so I usually try to see if he has a rules video first. But anyway, back to the game. He actually, when he first saw this game, he didn't think he was going to enjoy this one as much as he ended up enjoying it. He originally played it because he was doing some consulting for the rulebook, which is always a good sign for the rulebook, by the way. He's quite good at that. And he ended up very much enjoying the game, much to his surprise. So this is a fantastic game. It's not too heavy, it's not too light, it has interesting decisions, fun mechanisms. I really like tile placement and set collection, that's not a big secret now. And especially when it's done in interesting ways like it's done in this game. It doesn't overstay its welcome. And actually, like I said, the average weight on this one on Board Game Geek is 2.32. This is one I could probably introduce to my mom. And since she also grew up in Seattle, well, and some other places around the country, she was a Navy brat, I think she might like this game as well. We'll have to see. I have to do it when she's wide awake and can wrap her head around it, because there are a few things going on here. Anyway, that was number 4, Rebuilding Seattle. Number 3 is a channel relevant game, so I will talk about it when I talk about the channel relevant games, and that is Endeavor Deep Sea, another game that was new to me. This is one of those ones that was 3 weekends in a row that we played fabulous games. So again, I'll talk about that when I talk about the channel relevant games. Number 2 was the third in that series of 3 weekends where we had just game after game of really good games, and that is World Wonders. So this is another game that was new to me, and I think we played this one in October. So we played this multiplayer twice, and then I played it solo, and actually I had recorded in Board Game Geek that I played it 1 time solo, but I'm pretty sure I actually played it twice and didn't record the second time. I loved this game. This is a tile placement. We have more grid coverage, open drafting, and action points that you can spend. It plays 1 to 5 players in 50 to 70 minutes and has beautiful chunky pieces and tiles, obviously for a tile laying game. Has an average Board Game Geek weight of 2.24, an average rating of 7.6, and my rating of it is a 9.7. Loved this game. So awesome. And I think the chunky pieces had something to do with that, but just the puzzle of it and the decisions you get to make were really fun. So the premise of this game is that you are a leader building up your own ancient city. That doesn't totally come through because you're building multiple wonders in your city, which seems kind of weird. So really it's a polyomino tile laying game with some super cool chunky pieces. The game is played over 10 rounds. Each round, players have 7 gold to spend on roads, buildings, and wonders. Each wonder has its own set of conditions that are required to build that in your city. And these conditions are usually that the wonder has to be touching some combination of a road and 1 or more specific buildings. Each building will also allow you to move one or more resource markers on tracks on your player board that will contribute to your final score. And actually, this is one of those games where on, I can't totally remember because honestly, I'm pretty sure we played this in October, so it's been a while. But it has one of those mechanisms where your score depends on how well you did on the least scoring track. So I can't remember exactly how all that works, but that was a part of it. And I like mechanisms like that force you to balance across resources. In this case, they're the tracks. But what I really like about this game is puzzling the buildings and roads onto my board in a way that allows me to place wonders while also being flexible in terms of what buildings and wonders I can build in the future, because you don't know what's coming up next round. It gets revealed randomly at the start of the round, and then the wonders get revealed as people build them. So this is a super fun game. I wish I had not waited so long to get it. I remember the buzz around it, but sometimes you know how buzz can be real buzzy for a short amount of time, and then you hear nothing about that game. And I don't know, for some reason I thought this was going to be one of those, and I wish I hadn't waited so long. I think this is even one that my mom will like when we finally get around to introducing it to her. So that was number 2, World Wonders. Okay, coming in at number 1 was a game I was going to say I like even more, but I guess that's inherently understood in the fact that this is an ordered list. So coming in at number 1 is Ultimate Railroads. Oh my goodness, this game is so fun. I'll tell you how it gets its name here in a minute, because it's actually several games boxed into one. But we played it 4 times in November, I think the last 2 weekends in November. We have now played it 9 times total, so you're going to hear more about this in the next vlog. And this is a worker placement game. It's really well done worker placement that also has tech tracks that you are working up, which are literally tracks, railroad tracks. And it plays 1 to 4 players in 90 to 120 minutes. The average weight on Board Game Geek is 3.27, and I don't know, so that's what the Ultimate Railroads collection has as an average weight. I can tell you it contains 4 games, Russian railroads, American railroads, German railroads, and Asian railroads, and they get progressively more complex as you go across that list. So the average rating for Ultimate Railroads on Board Game Geek is 8.4. I don't know what it is for Russian railroads. That is the base game for Ultimate Railroads, is Russian railroads. My rating right now of the whole collection is a 9.8. I love it, and I wish I hadn't waited so long to play it. It's been sitting on the shelf for a little while. I can't remember how long. I got this actually during one of Boardlandia's live YouTube sales. It was a ding that they were auctioning off, or not auctioning, it's not an auction. You enter your name in for the right to buy the game, but you're buying them at hugely discounted prices. So for the whole box of Ultimate Railroads, I paid $45 plus the time it took to repair the corner of the box, which was totally split, but the contents were totally fine, undamaged. So we really didn't get very far into our first play of the game before we all just agreed how much we enjoyed it. And so like I said, this box contains Russian railroads and 3 expansions. In November, we played Russian railroads, and then we played German railroads. And then in December, we played American railroads and Asian railroads. So you'll be hearing more about those. I think it was December that we played German railroads. I actually can't remember. Anyway, that's unimportant when we played it. In Russian railroads, players try to earn the most points by building 3 different railway routes. Each round, you are placing workers to perform various actions and collect resources. There are a lot of choices in this game, and you have to carefully balance your actions against what your opponents are doing, because you can't do everything. This is one of those games where there are a ton of things to do, and you want to do it all, but you can't do it all. So as in most worker placement games, you gain in number of workers as the game goes through, but in the 3-player game, you start with 6, and the most you can acquire is go up to 8, so you can acquire 2 more. So that whole combination makes for some pretty tough and interesting decisions. And one of the fun parts of this game is that you can set yourself up for some pretty lucrative combinations of bonuses that will increase in value and complexity as you progress through the game. And so as you can tell by my rating of a 9.8, I love this game. I am really looking forward to actually playing it solo. So Ultimate Railroads comes with a solo mode, Emil, and I'm looking forward to how that plays. So I said it comes with those 3 expansions. It also comes with, I think they call them modules. It's 3 different modules. There's a manufactions module, a coal module, and Oh no, then there's special ideas and additional engineers. And so we eventually incorporated, we've played with all of those. So we really explored over several weekends what this game had to offer. So I'll talk about German, American, and Asian railroads next month in the December vlog. But this is a fantastic game. If you have not had an opportunity to check it out, I encourage you to do so. I think I read in the forums that it is on Board Game Arena. So anyway, check that out. And that is number 1, Ultimate Railroads. So as usual, I do have a few honorable mentions. I have 2 games that I play on the app. These are 2 good solo-only games. I also have 2 new to us games that I really enjoyed, one of which is probably never going to end up on the top 10 list. One of them might actually, so we'll talk about that. And then also I have 1 game that qualifies as biggest surprise, which will probably never end up on one of the top 10 lists, but it was interesting enough to talk about. All right, so these digital implementations, this is not BGA. These are apps on, I have an Android tablet, so I don't know if they're available on iOS, but my guess would be they are because most things are available on iOS before Android. And they're both solo-only games, although one of them bills itself as cooperative as well. So the first one is Friday. I have played this countless times. I don't actually keep track. I go on runs where I'll play it back to back to back to back. This is a deck building, hand management, push your luck game. Like I said, solo only, plays in about 25 minutes. I'm guessing that that is for the physical version because I think it's much quicker in the app, although I've never timed it. It has an average weight on Board Game Geek of 2.16, an average rating of 7.1, and my rating of it is an 8. In this game, you are playing as Friday, Robinson Crusoe's loyal partner, who helped Crusoe survive the island and defeat the pirates that show up at the end. And really the sort of way the game is set up is putting Crusoe as sort of a buffoon, I guess, and Friday as being, you know, the guy who's really behind the scenes pulling all the strings. And so this is a solo deck building game where you have to optimize your deck of fight cards in order to defeat hazards on the island. So this is all lingo from the game. And during each turn, you're going to try to defeat a hazard card by playing fight cards from your deck. If you defeat the hazard, that card is actually going to go into your fight card deck. And if you fail, you're going to lose life points. But you will also get an opportunity at that point to remove unwanted cards from your fight deck. So the cards that you want to remove are actually added throughout the game and have effects that are going to make it really a lot harder for you to defeat the hazards by either like taking away life points or, I can't go into too much detail without getting into more complexity of the rules. But anyway, it's a really tough game. It's really hard to win this one. I think it took me, I can't remember when I started playing it, but I think I didn't win my first several games. It took me a while to figure it out, but it is so much fun. Even when you lose, it's fun, and then it makes you want to play it again. There are actually regular tournaments if you play the app. I think they're monthly, but I'm not actually sure. Maybe they just play through a tournament and then go into the next one, so I'm not really sure about that. I've never won one, but I've done pretty good in a few of them. I haven't played one in a while, actually. The app is quite well done. It allows me to easily sneak in a game when I just have a few minutes here or there. And because of that, I will probably never own the physical version because the app, like I said, is just so well done and easy to do. So that is Friday, one of my honorable mentions. The next honorable mention that is a digital implementation is Onirim. This is well-known in the solo community game. I actually played this physically 2 times because I saw it available at our library, and I had at that point played the app a countless number of times, but had never played the physical game. And so I checked it out from the library. I played it twice. The physical version, there is a lot of card shuffling in this game. So I'll probably just stick with the app from here on out. But this is a hand management set collection game. And like I said, it's solo only, although it bills itself as also cooperative, but I kind of think of it as just solo only. Plays in about 15 minutes, maybe even a little quicker on the app. It has an average Board Game Geek weight of 1.6, an average rating of 7, and my rating of it is a 7.2, which is a good rating. It means it's a game that I like. Usually my 7s go a lot towards these card games or like lighter games, less complexity, but it's anything above a 7 for me is something I'll, pretty much always be ready to play. According to the description for this game, because it's really hard to explain the theme, the description says, "You are a dream walker. lost in a mysterious labyrinth, and you must discover the Onirim doors before your dream time runs out, or you will remain trapped forever. The artwork is, it's interesting. It's actually really good and really goes well with the theme. It's unique. So I wouldn't call it charming. I guess the monsters are charming. Anyway, in Onirim, you are working against the game to gather 8 door cards, so 2 of each of the 4 colors, before the deck runs out. And you do this by either playing cards of the same color 3 turns in a row, following some specific rules, or by discarding a key card in the right situation. So basically, when a door comes up, you draw a door and you have a key card in your hand, you can discard that key card to collect that door. But as you're doing all this, the nightmares are a constant threat. So you can draw one of those nightmare cards, and I can't remember how many there are, but there's a lot of them. It seems like there's a lot of them. When one shows up, you have a few choices for how you can respond to it, but none of them are in your favor. So it's kind of like picking the best of a bad situation sort of thing in your way, how you respond to it. So this is a really difficult game with lots of shuffling. And like I said, I checked out that physical copy from our library in October. I think I might have actually played it more than twice, but I only recorded 2 of those plays. And I do enjoy this game, but I think I don't want to own the physical version, kind of like Friday, but more because of all the shuffling involved. I actually liked playing the physical version of this, but just so much shuffling that I think the app version is a little more fun because of that. I might check it out from the library again, but I'm probably never going to own the physical version. One of the things I did not like about this game, and this really comes out when you play it time after time after time on the app, and that is how much of a factor luck is in your card draws and in how you can play the game and how well you do, whether or not you can win. There's a huge luck factor in that. There are ways to mitigate it, but they don't always do. Sometimes you just know, like, there's been times where I've abandoned a game because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to win this. And I don't usually do that with games. So that tells you something about that. So like I said, good game, great game. I will probably only ever play it on the app, but I will probably play it a lot more times. And that is Onirim, one of my honorable mentions. All right, the next 2 honorable mentions are 2 new to us games. They were new to us in October and November that we really enjoyed. And one of them was Canvas, which was published way back in 2021 and took me until now to get it. It hasn't been sitting on the shelf for very long. I only recently got it. I think it might have been a deal of the day for Game Nerds or something. I don't know. It must have been on sale somewhere for me to get it. Anyway, I have played this 3 times, so 2 times multiplayer and 1 time solo, and the solo version is quite good. It has contracts, hand management, open drafting, and a really unique layering mechanism. It plays 1 to 5 players in about 30 minutes. It has an average Board Game Geek weight of 1.69, an average rating of 7.2, and my rating of it right now is an 8.5. But like I said, I've only played it 3 times, so could go up or down. I don't think it's likely to go down. I really enjoyed this one. But in this game, you're playing as a painter who is competing in an art competition. And on your turn, there's a market of art cards that you're choosing from. And it's a market like Century Spice Road and Micropolis, where if you take the first one, if I recall correctly, that one's free, but then you have to pay inspiration to take cards that go further up the row. And so these art cards are beautiful. They are clear. I'll probably flash some pictures up right about now. They're clear, and then they have the artwork on them, and you layer 3 of those into a sleeve that looks like a frame, a picture frame, and to make a piece of art that will score based on how it's layered, based on some of the requirements you have that are laid out for that game, which are variable for each game. And so anyway, that's how you score points. And I think the game ends when somebody has 3 of those. I can't remember. I probably will flash it up on the screen, but unimportant to this description. Anyway, Canvas is really great, a beautiful game, and my partner doesn't know this yet, it's going to be a Christmas present for the family, and I got both expansions to it because they add more of those cards, and we just really enjoyed this one, and like I said, I really liked the solo game. It's quite good. So I forgot to mention one thing about Canvas. So this is me coming from the future to tell you about it, and that is that this is the game box for Canvas, which is really cool because it's intended that you could, if you want to, hang it up on the wall. So this is the front of the game box. It does not have the name of the game on it. It is on the side, and so this actually slides out, and that's where the game is. And then on the back, it has a place where you can hang it on a hook, and it's reinforced even, so well thought out. Absolutely beautiful. That is Canvas. Anyway, that was Canvas, another one of my honorable mentions. Another honorable mention was a fun little card game that, again, took me forever to get because this one came out. So it was actually published in 2019. It wasn't released in the US till 2022, but I recently got it. We got this to the table pretty quickly, and that is Scout. So again, this was new to us. We have now played it 7 times. I think we've played it in December. Maybe we have. We've played it, yeah, because we played it 7 times total, according to my notes. So we haven't played it yet in December. This is a hand management ladder climbing game. So if you don't know about ladder climbing, this is where players play one card or a set of related cards, and then subsequently players must play cards of an equal or higher value. So I'm basically describing the game in this mechanism description of a higher value compared to the same set that was already played. The last player to successfully play wins the right to start a new round of climbing. Plays 2 to 5 players in about 15 minutes. It's a very quick game. And I think we usually actually play, I think this is another one of those ones where we play 3 rounds. I can't remember. And it has an average Board Game Geek weight of 1.36, an average rating of 7.8, which is quite high on Board Game Geek for a simple card game. My rating of it right now is an 8.3, also quite high for a simple card game. And so in Scout, you are, the theme of it anyway, or the setting, I don't know, in Scout, you are a circus manager trying to put together the best circus. And I don't know, the theme doesn't really come through at all in the gameplay, but it is reflected in the cards. And that is, there's names on the cards, and then the suits are different, like circus performances that you might see. And so that's how that comes out. I actually wasn't exactly sure of the theme until I was putting together my notes for this vlog, but you can kind of tell from the cover of the game. I actually bought the Target version. Well, I'll talk about that more in a minute. So the cards in Scout each show 2 values, but it's only the value at the top of the card that's going to be relevant when it's in your hand. So either of those can be the top, but at the start of each round, players are going to be dealt a hand of cards. You can't change the order of the cards once you decide. So you're dealt a hand of cards and you have to look at them and decide which orientation you want them. You can't rearrange them. And once you choose the orientation, which side's up, it stays that way. You can't change that. And that's, I think, what made me a little skeptical of this game at first. I was super skeptical of this game for the longest time. I'm like, that just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't sound fun. It's a lot of fun. So there you have it, total skeptic going in. But on your turn, you can either, you can take one of 2 actions. You can either scout or you can show. Scouting is where you take a card from the center of the table. And when you take a card, you can decide which orientation it goes in your hand and where it goes. But once you put it there, you can't change it after that. If you instead choose to show, what you're going to do is play cards into the center of the table that beat the cards currently there. So remember, this is a ladder climbing game. More cards will beat fewer cards, and matching numbers beat consecutive numbers. And if you are comparing the same number of cards, same amount of cards that are either matching or consecutive, higher numbers within those runs or sets are going to beat lower numbers. And so, like I said, I was pretty skeptical of this game for a long time. I didn't really see what was fun about it from the descriptions that I was seeing. And I watched quite a few reviews because I don't know if you remember, but this was getting a lot of buzz when it first came out. And you still hear about it occasionally. I think it gets played more often than you hear about it. Because, you know, it's a pretty simple card game. But the fact that people were talking about this one a couple years later, and then Target came out with a Target version that is only cards, and I actually think I prefer the only cards version. What I don't like about the only cards version is it comes in a tuck box that's supposed to hang. It has one of those little hang holes on it, and I hate those. And so what I actually did was printed a 3D printed a box for it that holds the cards and the rules, and is the theme color is orange, so it's beautiful orange. And so anyway, that's how I store my version of Scout. But I totally recommend the Target version over the other. The Oink version I think they're both produced by Oink, but the original version has a bunch of tokens in it, and that just seems real fiddly to me. And the cards, it works really, really smoothly. Anyway, fun game, and that is Scout, one of my honorable mentions. Okay, my last honorable mention is what was the biggest surprise across both months. And this is one of those games that my partner and our son and I played on a Saturday twice, morning and night, and that is Living Planet. We played this 2 times. It is an area majority, commodity speculation, hand management, worker placement, tile placement game. There is a lot going on in this game. It plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 120 minutes. It's a lengthy one. It has an average weight on Board Game Geek of 3.61, an average rating of 7, and my rating of it right now is an 8. Again, I've only played it twice. It does not have a solo mode, and I don't think my rating is likely to go up on it, but I don't think it would go down much with more plays of it either. I think it comfortably sits at an 8. So I bought this one on clearance from Boardlandia after seeing a good review. Well, first I saw it on clearance, and it was just $5. So I did my usual thing of look it up on BGG, look for reviews. And I saw a review by Z Garcia from the Dice Tower, and I usually like the games that he likes. He likes some themes that I'm not a big fan of, but as far as mechanisms go, we're usually in sync that way. And he had some good things to say about this game, and some valid criticisms as well, but I paid $5 for it. So I figured even if we only played it once, we would get our money's worth. And I wasn't wrong. So according to the description on BGG, each player represents one major galactic corporation exploiting the distant planet MYC 14.250. That's name unimportant. And it goes on to say each one of them is eager to industrialize the planet and generate as much profit as possible before the planet self-destructs. So despite the name, not a channel relevant game. It's all about exploiting the land and extracting as many resources as you can. I don't know, maybe that actually is thematic to the channel, but it didn't really come out. The theme doesn't really come out. It's a bunch of mechanisms that are fun together. They actually work quite well together. And so on your turn, you're going to take actions that let you build buildings, hire scientists, and gather resources. One of the mechanisms that I really like about this game is the stock market. And in the stock market, it works kind of like a Raccoon Tycoon in that the price of resources changes whenever somebody buys or sells that resource. However, it has a little bit of a difference from Raccoon Tycoon in that if it reaches its maximum value and would go beyond that, it actually crashes and goes all the way down to the bottom. And you really hope that that doesn't happen when you're holding a lot of that resource. I think there's 4 different resources in this game. So each player starts with 1 scientist and 1 building on a lone tile. They also start with some money and a mushroom resource. Money and resources are hidden, this hidden information behind player screens. And throughout the game, you're going to add tiles as you explore the planet and then build buildings on those tiles to earn resources. And each round is going to start with players choosing a card to play that affects the actions that they will take that round. Players play those cards simultaneously, face down, and then reveal them at the same time. And so the tricky part here is that each player has the same hand of 6 cards. And when you play a card, you're not going to be able to use that card again until you have cycled through all 6 of your cards. And so each round will end with the potential for a natural disaster that can just destroy things for you. It might destroy one or more of your buildings. It might injure one of your scientists. It might send one of your science, they're like science vehicles. I forget what they call them. Anyway, it can send those back to the junk heap. There are ways you can protect yourself from this, at least partially, from those negative effects. So they're not totally and they're not totally random either. You can see them coming, and so you can kind of prepare for them, which I really like, actually. Like I said, there's actually a lot going on in this game, so I'm not going to describe everything that you can do. It flows surprisingly well for the number of different mechanisms that there are in this game. Z Garcia was really baffled by he wasn't baffled by the mechanism of the stock market. It's not hard to figure out, but just that it was present in the game seemed a little out of place to him, but I don't agree. I think it worked pretty well. I mean, you're extracting all these resources and then you have to sell them, right? That's why you're extracting the resources. You have to sell them, and it's like supply and demand. If there's a lot of resources that go into the market, well, the price is going to go down. And if there aren't so many, then the price is going to go up. And so I think the stock market was a really fun part of the game. And I thought it was a really fun game. I was surprised, honestly, by how much I enjoyed it. For a $5 game, I thought I would like it at least a little bit based on what Z said, but I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It's probably not one that I would pull off the shelf very often. And it doesn't, like I said, doesn't have a solo mode, but I would like to play it a few more times before I'll probably eventually let go of it. So anyway, that was Living Planet, my last honorable mention. Okay, now finally on to the channel relevant games that I played in October and November, and I just want to take a moment to remind you that there are timestamps in the description below, so feel free to skip around, especially if I'm talking about a game that you've already heard me talk about before. I'm unlikely to say a lot new about it. The first game that I want to talk about, so there was, I thought I said there was 12 channel relevant games. I hope I didn't make a mistake with that. Anyway, the first one I want to talk about is one that was new to me. I think I played this back in October. This is Koala Rescue Club. This is a print and play game that I played, that I backed on Kickstarter. I have played it 3 times. I played it 3 times in October, November. I've played it 3 times total. So I haven't played it yet in December, although I've almost pulled it out a few times. It is a roll and write pattern building and chaining game that plays any number of players. So I'll probably do a play along of this one, and it plays in 20 to 30 minutes. Sounds about right. Probably about right. It has an average weight on BGG of 1. I think that that's because not a lot of people have weighed in. I would give it a 1.5. I would probably say it's around a 1.5. It has an average rating on BoardGameGeek of 7, but that's with just 84 ratings, so that can go up or down. My rating of it right now is a 7.1. So in Koala Rescue Club, you are planting new trees for koalas to live in, and then you are rehoming them in those trees. And on your turn, you're going to roll a die to determine the shape or configuration of trees or koalas, depending on where you're at, that you can circle on your player sheet. You complete each area in 2 layers. So first you do the trees, because the koalas have to have the trees to live in, and then you do the koalas. And completing columns and rows are going to earn you bonus actions. This is a fun game. It is pretty light. I could be wrong about this. I've only played it 3 times. I don't see a ton of replayability. I will caveat that with there are 2 sides to this, and I don't know if there are other player sheets. And I've only played 1 side, and I've only played it 3 times. So perhaps by the time I record a video of this, at which point I will have played it more times, I will have more to say about it, so keep your eye out for that. It is a cute game, and it's very relaxing to play. It's a fun solo game. It was designed by one of my favorite designers, who is Phil Walker Harding, so hence the koala theme, because he lives in Australia. Anyway, that is Koala Rescue Club at number 12. On to number 11. That is Food Chain Island. So I have talked about this one before. I played it 1 time I think I played it in October. I've played it 18 times total, so quite a few times. This is a grid movement game, and actually BoardGameGeek also lists it as network and route building. I have question mark next to that. I can kind of see how that is true, but it's not how I would think of it anyway. So grid movement game for sure. This is a solo only game from Button Shy, plays in about 15 minutes, has an average BGG weight of 1.29, an average rating of 7.2, and my rating is exactly the same, a 7.2. In Food Chain Island, you are going to start with a grid of 16 animals, and on each turn you move 1 animal to eat another smaller adjacent animal, so it's all based on the numbers on the animals. If you can't move an animal to eat another, game's over, and your goal is to have only 1 animal card left. And if I remember correctly, I think you can still win if you have 2 left, but don't quote me on that. But your goal is to have just 1 left. So it's a fun puzzle. A nice little solo puzzle. Probably not my favorite Button Shy, but the art is cute, the theme is cute, and yeah, it's a fine game. Like I said, my rating of this is 7.2. So that is Food Chain Island at number 11. Coming in at number 10 is a game that I actually have a couple of videos out on the channel. I think it's 2, might be 1, videos out on the channel, and that is Verdant Arizona. It is a game that was new to me in October. We played it again in November, so I've played it 5 times. I've played it 3 times solo and 2 times with my partner, so multiplayer. This is a 1 to 2 player game, plays in about 15 to 30 minutes. It has set collection, open drafting, and grid movement. And BGG says that it has take that, but I don't agree. You can thwart your opponent in the multiplayer game a little bit, but you can't directly mess them up. So I don't know that I agree with the take that part of it. Anyway, it has no weight and no average rating listed because this actually has not fulfilled yet on Kickstarter. So this is a game that I'm part of a Facebook group for board game media, and there's publishers in there. And so every once in a while, a publisher will pop in and say, hey, I have this game. Does anybody want to review it or preview it or whatever? And so this was one of those that popped up, along with a couple other games that were in this Kickstarter. And I saw it and I thought, oh, that's one that I would love to talk about. I'd like to talk about. So I reached out to the publisher and they sent me the game. And so I think I did a how to play. It's been a while now and it's been a busy couple of months and a playthrough. This is a fun solo puzzle. I've only played it twice multiplayer, and we played it in a really busy, loud environment. We went to our son's Lego robotics competition and played some games in between his rounds, and this was one of them. But anyway, in this game, you are moving a vehicle around a 3x3 grid of cards to determine a card that you can collect, and you're collecting cactuses to place into your garden, which is a 4x4 grid. So this is an abstract strategy game. Your goal is to arrange your cactuses in such a way as to score the most points. So real simple game. It's a fun puzzle. The artwork, the public domain artwork, is quite nice, and it doesn't take up a lot of room. And in fact, it is easy to fit in like a pocket or a backpack or a purse or whatever. It's a mint tin game. And so anyway, it's not out yet. I'm not sure when the Kickstarter will fulfill, but I'll probably try and put that up on the screen somewhere. Anyway, good game, simple card game. Like I said, my rating of it is 7.5. And that is number 10, Verdant Arizona. Number 9 is a game that I can't remember if I've actually talked about in one of these vlogs. This is a game by Elizabeth Hargret, and that is Tussie Mussie. I played this one time, and actually it was we played it during that same Lego robotics competition, but I've played it 7 times total. I've played it twice solo and 5 times multiplayer. And this is a fun little game. This is an I Cut You Choose set collection game, and I really enjoy the I Cut You Choose mechanism. It plays 2 to 4 players. It plays solo with an expansion. So if you just get the base game, I actually have it right here on the table. It's one of those little wallet games from Button Shy. If you just get the base game, it does not play solo. There's an expansion that will allow it to play solo. And so otherwise it plays 2 to 4 players. It's a great 2-player game. I can't tell you how it plays with more players than that. Maybe if you've played it with 3 or 4 players, you can let us know in the comments. It plays in about 20 to 30 minutes. It has an average Board Game Geek weight of 1.14, which sounds about right. Average rating of 6.9. My rating of it is actually a 7.5. It's quite a clever little game. It's based on it's described as a Victorian fad that assigned meanings to the flowers that friends and lovers would exchange in the Victorian era. And so like I said, this is an I Cut You Choose game where you're on your turn, you're going to draw 2 cards, and then choose one of those to display face up and one to display face down. You're displaying those to your opponent. They get to choose one of those cards to add to their display, either a bouquet or keepsakes, and you get the other card to add to your display. Each card is going to influence your final score in some way, and sometimes that way that it influences depends on whether it's face up or face down in your display. After each player has had 2 turns, that's when you get to score your cards. And so the art in this is beautiful. It plays quickly. I love that I Cut You Choose mechanism. The only other game that we have, that I could remember anyway, that has that same mechanism is Jixia Academy, which is a version of Hanamakoji that has male scholars instead of female geishas. And so anyway, it's a fun little game. There's not a lot to say about it. It's that simple mechanism. It's very simple, but a lot of fun, actually. And that is number 9, Tussie Mussie. Coming in at number 8 is, I wanted to say this one was new to me. I don't have it. No, I guess maybe I have talked about this one before, because it says here that I played it 1 time and that I've played it twice total. So I'm guessing it was new to me in September. Anyway, this is a tile placement. Did I say the name of it? Nimalia. It's Nimalia at number 8. This is a tile placement closed drafting layering game that's a fun puzzle. It plays 2 to 4 players. It does have an unofficial fan-made solo mode on BGG, but I haven't tried it yet. I don't know how good it is. It plays at about 25 to 30 minutes. The average weight on BoardGameGeek is 1.6. The average rating is 7.1, and my rating of it is a 7.5. And the one sentence description on BoardGameGeek says, build the best animal sanctuary in a limited space with changing objectives. And that pretty much sums it up. So Nimalia is played over 5 rounds. Each round, players are dealt 3 cards. They have to place one of those cards into their sanctuary, their grid of cards, and then pass the rest. And you pass it either left or right, depending on which round you're in. Each card has 4 habitats on it, so these are square cards. And in each of those little squares of habitat, there's going to be an animal. And when you place a card into your sanctuary, you have to cover at least one other habitat. So you can cover more than that, but you have to layer over at least one. The whole sanctuary can't exceed a total of 6 by 6. And so, like I said, there's 4 squares on each card, and each one of those counts as one of those units that counts towards your 6 by 6. There are 4 scoring objectives each game, and there's plenty to choose from, so each game is going to be a little bit different. 2 of those objectives are going to score each round. So the way that it works out is 3 of the objectives are going to score in 3 different rounds, and 1 of them will score in only 2 different rounds, and the rounds that they score in won't necessarily be consecutive. A couple of them are, but mostly they're not. So if you think about cartographers, you're scoring the same objective in different rounds, but it's like a consecutive overlapping sort of thing, and that's not the way that it necessarily works in this game. The changing objectives makes optimizing your points in this game a really fun puzzle. The artwork is pleasant, but not spectacular. It's good. It's good artwork. It doesn't have a solo mode, like I said, although it does have a fan-made mode on BoardGameGeek, but I haven't tried that. It is unfortunate because I honestly think that the way this puzzle works would be a really fun solo puzzle, but it was really fun multiplayer, so I played it with my partner and our son. It does play relatively quickly, so it's a fun puzzle. It plays relatively quickly, and it doesn't take up much room on the shelf. It's a really small box, actually. I think I have it. Do I have it back here? Oh, it must be downstairs. No, it's right here. It's this little box right there. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't take up much room on the shelf, so it'll probably stick around in our... And that is Nimalia at number 8. Okay, this next one, I actually debated putting it in this list or not, but I have included a lot of other games that qualify only on their art, and so this is one of them. I actually have the little box because I want to show you how small it is, and this actually, let me take this out. This is the Fox in the Forest. It could take up a lot less room. It's only a small deck of cards and some scoring tokens. So anyway, this is the Fox in the Forest. This is a 2-player trick-taking game that I played 3 times. I think we played all 3 of these at that same LEGO Robotics, the LEGO Robotics event, I guess. And like I said, it qualifies based solely on its art. Actually, I went and looked up, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. So like I said, it's a 2-player game, plays in about 30 minutes. That's what it says on BGG. I think we play it in closer to 15 minutes. It has an average weight on BoardGameGeek of 1.58, an average rating of 7.1, and my rating of it is an 8. It's a really fun trick-taking game. Like I said, there's no real theme here. The game ends up on this list by virtue of its art alone. However, in putting together my notes for this video, I looked in the rule book to see, like, what is the theme of this game? I actually have no idea. So it's based in a fairy tale that I did not know about. I think it was written and then this game was produced, or maybe it was written for the game. I'm not sure. I haven't read it yet, but I did find it. There's a link to it from the rule book, and it's pretty lengthy, so I didn't read it before the video because I just didn't have time. But it really lines up with the artwork in any case, if it doesn't line up with the mechanisms. So, it's cute. This is a pretty straightforward trick-taking game with special powers on some of the cards that spice things up just a little bit. The fun twist here is that you don't want to win too many tricks. And actually, balancing exactly how many you win and deciding how many you want to win and trying to accomplish that is the fun part of this game. So there are there's 13 tricks possible in each round. And if you win 10 or more, you're going to earn 0 points, because I think it says you're greedy or something like that. If you win 3 or fewer tricks, you earn 6 points. And winning 4 to 9 tricks, so in between 4 and 9, is going to earn you anywhere from 1 to 6 points, and that's based on how many tricks you earn. And it's a fun balancing act with your cards, especially once you realize that you're going to win more than 3 tricks. Like if you just know from looking at your hand, or maybe you just went over 3 tricks, now you have to try to win the most points in that 4 to 9 trick range by winning 7 to 9 tricks. But remember, if you were in 10 or more, you get 0. But if you were in 7 to 9 tricks, you get 6 points, right? But it puts you dangerously close to winning too many tricks and scoring no points. The game ends when one player reaches 21 points, at which point they win the game. I really enjoy this game. We, like many people these days, have gotten into... We've actually had this trick-taking game for quite a while. I want to say... Now, I know I played trick-taking games when I was younger, because I think Hearts, Spades, I can't remember. Anyway, there's trick-taking games I have played, but I don't remember them. And so I think this was the first trick-taking game I played since we got into modern board gaming. We've had it for quite a while, actually. So I think we've actually played it more than the 8 total that it says here. Because this was published in 2017, and I think we've had it for a while. So this, like I said, was one of the games that we took to our son's Lego robotics competition to play in between his competition rounds when the kids were preparing for their next round. The other games that we played, I actually have listed here. So I talked about Verdant Arizona already. We also played Nut, which is one of those, what are they called? Pac-O games. That was actually pretty good. We tried to play another one. I think it was called Spy, but we got interrupted on that one, but we weren't really enjoying it anyway. Okay, so anyway, Verdant Arizona, Nut, Bog Chawl, Backgammon, Kariba, Tussie Mussie, and Circle the Wagons, which I will actually talk about when I talk about the games that I crowdfunded in October and November. I also had brought and played Numpsters, which is one of my favorite games to take with me when I leave the house, and I know I'm going to have to wait somewhere. I've talked about Numpsters before. All of those games, I don't know how many there was in that list, fit in my purse, and actually some more games that we didn't end up playing because we didn't have time to play them. And so they're all real small games that you can take with you. We actually brought some other games that would play more players just in case, but we didn't get an opportunity to play those either. Anyway, that is number 7, The Fox in the Forest. Number 6 is Aquamarine. I played this 2 times. I want to say it was in November. I've played it 14 times total. It does have a total of 5 maps. I've only played maps 1 and 2, which I'll talk about again here in a minute. This is a roll and write game with movement points and route building, and if you play it multiplayer, simultaneous action selection. It plays any number of players in 20 to 30 minutes. I'll probably do a play along with this game at some point. It has an average Board Game Geek weight of 1.79, an average rating on Board Game Geek of 7.4, and my rating of it is an 8. This is a really fun roll and write. It's a print and play game that I backed on Kickstarter with one of my favorite designer duos. They designed Waypoints, and that is Matthew Dunstan and Rory Muldoon. In Aquamarine, you are a diver, or maybe a dive team, because you're exploring the ocean by scuba and you're doing it over presumably 24 hours. So either you don't need any sleep or there's a whole team of you. And so those 24 hours are the 24 turns of the game. And each turn you're going to roll 2 dice, choosing one of those to allow you to dive just a little deeper. And choosing the higher number of the 2 is actually going to cost you oxygen. So you're trying to balance your oxygen supplies in this game. Based on the number you choose, you're going to draw either a rectangular or a square shape on your ocean grid corresponding to that number. And rolling doubles is really fun because it allows you to draw any shape you want that encompasses a number of squares that is 2 larger than that shown on one of the dice. So if you rolled double 5s, you would draw a shape that is 7 squares big. And then the deeper that you go, the more oxygen you're going to have to spend just to move. You're allowed to make up to 3 dives, and in fact in the solo game you have to do all 3 dives in order to win the game. because you have to make it past certain depths in each of the 3 dives. And I think there's 2 levels. I think there's like an easy and a hard. I'm not sure which one I do, but I just follow the little arrows on the map. I should probably look that up. Anyway, this is a fun puzzle. And like I said, designed by the same design team that did Waypoints. And so far, I've only played 2 of the 5 maps. I am hoping to get to those other maps over this winter break so soon. And like I said, I'm eventually going to record a play along for this, at least the first map, maybe more if people want more. Anyway, that is Aquamarine. Number 6. Coming in at number 5 is a game I've definitely talked about before, and that is Micropolis. We played this 2 times in October and November. We've played it 28 times total. This is an open drafting tile placement and set collection game. Players plays 2 to 6 players in, BGG says 30 minutes. I think it's, well, for us anyway, it's closer to 15. It has an average Board Game Geek weight of 1.76, an average rating of 6.8. My rating of it is an 8.1. I really enjoy this game. Unfortunately, I don't think you can get it anymore. I think it's out of print. So if you want to get a copy, I think you'd have to go to get a used copy somewhere. BGG Marketplace or, someplace else. Anyway, in Micropolis, you are building an ant nest and populating it with different types of ants and also fruit that those ants have presumably collected. It's a fun, quick tile laying game, and on your turn, you're going to choose a tile from the tile market, so it's a row of cards, and you're going to place that tile into your ant nest. And the first tile, just like Canvas I talked about earlier, the first tile in the lineup is free. Others are going to cost you ants, and you place 1 ant on each tile that you skip before you take a tile. You will score points at the end of the game based on the number and type of ants in your colony and the sets of fruit you collect. So there's multiple ways to earn points. Everybody in our family loves this game. And in fact, it's our go-to game when we need something really quick, when we're like, oh, we don't have much time and we just need a really quick game, because I think I've mentioned before, we play a game every night. So this is like our 15-minute game that might even include setup. We play this one really fast. Anyway, great game, and that is Micropolis, number 5. Number 4 is a game I feel like I talk about every month, so I'm going to try not to talk about it too much, but this is Waypoints. I have a few videos up on the channel. I played this 2 times over October and November. I feel like I played it more than that, but anyway, 2 times that I recorded. I've played it 31 times total. This is a roll and write route building, and then if you're playing it multiplayer, it has simultaneous action selection. It plays any number of players. It's unlimited, and it plays in about 20 to 40 minutes. It has an average Board Game Geek weight of 2.28, an average rating of 7.7, and my rating of it is an 8.2. I have talked about this game quite a bit, and also have, like I said, these play-along videos of a few different maps. I can't actually remember how many I have up on the channel. I do have one that's just for patrons that support me on Patreon. Anyway, so I'm not going to say much about this one, because if you've watched multiple of these, you've heard me ramble on about it, other than to say it's probably my favorite roll and write to pull out when I want to play something quick, like I don't have much time, or maybe I don't want to set something up. It's not actually my favorite roll and write. I actually haven't thought about that. I don't know which one would qualify, but it is one of my favorites. I love this game, and I have never tired of it. It has, I think we have 4 different maps right now. The 4th one came out at the end of September. All you need is a die, a pen, and one of those maps. Each turn, you're going to roll a die to determine how far you get to move on the map, how far you get to travel, and you're moving through some sort of wilderness. So along the way, you're going to see wildlife and collect gear that's going to help you score additional points, maybe move further. The latest map, the one that was released at the end of September, has you cross-country skiing. For another map, you're hiking, swimming, and taking ferries. So you do all 3 things on that map. And then the other 2 maps, you're hiking. One of them is through a desert, and the other is across mountains and through forests. So I just actually backed another game by this. So these are the same designers, Matthew Dunstan and Roy Muldoon, who designed Aquamarine. Waypoints, I think, was the first one I backed by them, and then I backed Aquamarine, and they just had another Kickstarter that I just backed, and that is, what's it called? 52 Realms, which is a card-driven fantasy adventure game, and I'll talk about that one in the next vlog when I talk about crowdfunded games I crowdfunded in December, and that is number 4, Waypoints. Number 3 is a game that was new to me in, I want to say November. I don't have it marked as new, but I know it was new. This is a game I crowdfunded. I played it 9 times in October and November. I have now played it 10 times total, and it will get a lot more plays, I can tell you that. It is right now tied with Numpsters. Well, this won't change because this was for all of October and November. It's tied with Numpsters for the most plays at 9 plays. It is a roll and write worker placement print and play game. And it plays 1 to 2 players, so it actually depends. Most of the player sheets are solo, but there are co-op and then head-to-head modes. And if you go to purchase this one, I believe it's available on Dice Pen. I think there's 3 different bundles that you can get. One of them, they're just all the solo at different difficulty levels, 9 different difficulty levels. And then there's another one that are all the 2-player variants. And then there's another one that has, like, I think it's called, maybe there's 4 casual variants and then other variants that are sort of more strategic that I have not yet played. So I still have yet to explore those. I have played through difficulty level 4. And anyway, I haven't told you anything about this game yet, and I've already told you I love it. Let's see. So I said it played 1 to 2 players in about 45 minutes. This is a longer roll and write print and play. So this does not play as quickly as like Waypoints or Aquamarine. It definitely takes close to 45 minutes. And when you first play it, it might even take you a little bit longer than that. You get to roll a lot of dice though. It has an average BGG weight of 2.0, an average rating. Oh wait, it doesn't have an average rating yet. I did a little math here. It only has 17 ratings. So BGG has not calculated an average rating yet. My rating of it is an 8.5. I went into those 17 ratings and plugged them into an Excel sheet, because of course I did. And I figured out that the mean rating was an 8.02. Now this was just 17 ratings, so keep that in mind. The median, which I find more interesting when there's only 17 ratings, is a 7.5, and the mode, the one that occurs most often, is a 7, so most people rated it a 7. So this is a beehive simulation game where you are rolling dice, the number of which depends on your population size and choices that you make. Those dice are then going to be placed into worker placement spots that will determine what actions you do on that turn. It's played over 4 seasons, but how long the game lasts depends on when you either win or lose. So there are 3 ways you can win. You can either make it through all 4 seasons, you can fill up all 6 of your hives that are in the center of the board, or you can, on the scoring track, reach the good end, the thriving hive end. There's 2 ways you can lose this game. You can either make it to the other end of the scoring track, that is colony collapse, or you can lose all your population. If your population ever gets to 0, you lose the game. It actually took me a bit to wrap my head around this. Actually, let me back up and say that when I first played this game, the first couple of games I played wrong. And while the rule book is great once you know how to play the game, it's actually not the best for learning the game. And so this is why I recorded a how to play video, because I really wanted to introduce this to more people. I think it's going to fly under the print and play radar, but it's really fun. You are, like I said, it's a worker placement game, beehive simulation, complete with bee bread, which bees make to get them through the winter, and royal jelly, which is how queens are determined, and nectar. And it's just, watch my review, watch my playthrough and review. It's a really good game. And that is Hive at number 3. And if you're interested in buying that one, I will put a link to the Dice Pen where you can buy it in the description. And I'm not sponsored, I didn't get it for free. I backed this one on Kickstarter, but I really want more people to play this game because it's fun. Anyway, going on to number 2. Number 2 is a game that I have not only talked about, but I've recorded a video for, a playthrough video, and that is AQUA, Biodiversity in the Oceans. We played this as a family one time, I think back in October. We have played it 10 times total. Some of those have been solo plays for me. I didn't look up how many. This is an open drafting tile placement pattern building game that plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes. It has an average Board Game Geek weight of 2.0, an average rating of 7.3, and my rating of it is a 9.1. This is a really fun tile laying game. Well, it's tile laying and set collection, so I'm pretty much guaranteed to like it if it's good. So what you're doing in this game is first building up, collecting coral to build up reefs, or building up coral colonies, and then placing, they call them small animals in the game. It's a variety of different animals that are probably flashing across the screen right now, that you will place onto coral colonies or next to coral reefs. Maybe you have to have now I can't remember. Oh, I think you have to have the coral colonies first. Anyway, and then on top of those smaller animals, you can place larger animals. So there's 3 layers to how you're scoring, and covering up one layer does not negate it, right? When you put the big animals over the smaller animals, you still score those smaller animals. And so it's a super fun, very beautiful tile laying game that we enjoy as a family. It also plays well solo, so check out my video on that. That was number 2, AQUA, Biodiversity in the Oceans. And I need to get through the rest of this video really quickly because they're waiting on me to play a game downstairs. What did we play this morning? We played Terra Nova this morning, so we're about to go play it again. Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about now. Number 1 was a fantastic game. I exclaimed several times through the first play of this game how much I enjoyed it. We all did, and that is Endeavor Deep Sea. So this is a game I backed on Kickstarter. Talk about more about that in a minute. I backed it on Kickstarter, and I can't remember when it fulfilled, but it wasn't that long ago. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. So it was new to me in October. I think October is when we played this. I've played it 5 times. I played 3 solo and 2 multiplayer. So we haven't been able to get it back to the table multiplayer, but we will for sure. Both Jared and Aiden really liked this one. So this is a game with action points and a modular board and tech tracks. Action points, for those of you who don't know, are, so I'm learning so much about mechanisms and describing all these games, but action points are basically points you can use to take actions, and you have a limited number of them, and different actions will cost you different numbers of points. And so that's sort of the main mechanism in this game. So you have to be really sort of thrifty, or not thrifty is not the word I want, smart. You have to be smart about how you spend your action points. And then tech tracks are where players are advancing along tracks in order to unlock upgraded or new actions. So this plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 120 minutes, but it doesn't feel like it takes that long. It goes by really quick. It has an average Board Game Geek weight of 2.83, an average rating of 8.3, and my rating of it is a 9.5, which actually may go up with additional plays. It's unlikely to go down anytime soon. This is going to be in my collection for a while, I think. The theme is fantastic. The gameplay is fantastic. The premise of the game is that you are the head of an independent research institute that works on developing sustainable projects and also preserving marine life. This is actually an updated version of Endeavor Age of Sail, which I think was an updated version of a game called Endeavor. I'm not sure because I've not played any of those, but my understanding is that this version is quite a bit different and also much improved. If you want a comparison, I encourage you to check out the channel Board Gaming Ramblings with Johannes and Sunniva. They do a great job at comparing. I think they compared at least, well, I don't remember exactly, but they do talk about the other games, and I'm pretty sure they've played them, or at least one of them. So check that out if you want more of a comparison, because I can't do that. This game is played over 6 rounds, where players take turns spending their action points to choose actions that are going to allow them to move up the 4 different tracks on their player board, and expand and explore the ocean depths by placing out tiles and moving around on them. So there are several different scenarios that you get to play through. They call them missions that will change up the gameplay a bit from game to game. You can play this competitively, cooperatively, or solo. And from what I hear, it is a good cooperative game. I haven't played it cooperative. We played it competitive, very good. I played it solo, very good. And I'm looking forward to playing it again. I've only played through the first mission. I don't think I played the second mission. I'd have to go look at my play notes. You can look at my plays and see what missions I've played and whether or not I've played it solo. That's all public information from my profile. Anyway, this is a fun puzzle with plenty of opportunities to string together some really fun combos. The theme, like I said, is fantastic. The decisions you make on your turn, they're interesting, they're meaningful, they're impactful. The artwork is good. I will say, okay, wait, I should qualify. Okay, so the artwork is good. My specialist tiles are a bit dark. It makes them look a bit muddy, which probably will look, it'll probably look okay when I film a playthrough video because I have really bright lights in here. So it might end up looking okay, but when we put it on our game table, they look a little bit muddy. Underneath that mud, the artwork is actually pretty good. The iconography, the graphic design, and all of that is great. Fantastic game if you can get your hands on this. If you like tile placement, well, no, okay, not tile placement because it's a module board, I guess is a better way to put it. If you like tech tracks and action points, though, you will probably really like this game. Anyway, really good. I will have a playthrough up for it probably pretty soon. We'll see. Anyway, that was number 1, Endeavor Deep Sea. Okay, so I still have to talk about crowdfunding. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 2024 People's Choice Top 200 Solo Games that is on Board Game Geek. Talk about some things that I'm going to be doing upcoming on the channel. What else do I have in my notes? A big thank you to you guys and a little bit of channel news. However, there's a game waiting for me on our game table downstairs. I am going to go play Terra Nova, and then I'm going to come back and record the rest of this. You won't even know I was gone. Okay, I am back. We just played a game of Terra Nova. You will have to wait until the next vlog to see my thoughts. See, hear, listen to my thoughts on that. However, getting up from the table made me notice that I forgot to talk about one cool thing about the boxing canvas. So through the magic of editing, I am going to cut this out of here and back it up to when I was talking about canvas in the honorable mentions. All right, now I'm back for good. Let's see, where was I? We just talked about we talked about all the nature, science, animal themed, vaguely themed games, and now we're on to crowdfunding. And so I actually backed a fair number of games. I think I went nuts in, well, this does cover 2 months, October and November, but I'm likely to back off for a while now. So I backed, let me count, well, not too bad. I backed 6 games, but 3 of those games sort of came as a package deal. So the first one I want to talk about is Nature. This is a redesign of the game Evolution, which, oh no, that's Evolution New World. I do have Evolution somewhere. I think it's on the other side of the room, which is a game that we really liked. It was actually one of the very first modern hobby board games that we got. We started with Evolution in the beginning, and we liked that one and wanted more, so we got Evolution and really liked that one. And so now I'm backing Nature, which is a redesign of Evolution. It's a hand management chaining simulation game. Plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes. I'm not sure how the time, that sounds about similar to Evolution, except that I don't think that one had a solo mode. So this now has a solo mode. BGG says it has a weight of 2 and an average rating of 7.4, but keep in mind that that rating is from 108 people, and I don't know how many people weighed in about the weight. My guess is that it actually is going to fall out probably around 2.3 to 2.5. My rating, no rating yet because I haven't played it. I actually have played a beta implementation of the app, but that was a while ago. So I do remember thinking that it was an improvement on Evolution, but I don't remember why. So I will tell you, however, the designer had said that the goals of the game compared to Evolution, so the goals of Nature compared to Evolution, this was from a Kickstarter update, I'll put a link to this in the description in case you want to read it in detail, is that it improves the new player experience. So people who are new to the Evolution games and possibly somewhat new to modern hobby board games. I don't know that I would throw this at somebody who's totally new to gaming, but he did say it's more forgiving, has more variety, definitely has more variety, better balance, so take his word on that, and easily expandable, totally true. So they have a base game, Nature, and then it's going to have modules, that I think they're calling them modules, that you can add on to that. And they have, North Star Games has committed to supporting it as a game over the next decade, the next 10 years. And I think with the Kickstarter, I'm trying to remember now, it comes with 5 modules. And then they're going to release, I can't remember how many each year. I'll see if I can find out and put it somewhere on either side. So they're going to release modules every year for the next 10 years. And he's already got some in the works. So that is Nature, which is a redesign of Evolution. I also backed a game called Shallow Sea, which I waffled on. And then I saw Rado's, I don't think he did a whole playthrough. I think they played through like the first part of it, or maybe I only watched the first part. But this is an open drafting, pattern building set collection game. So 3 mechanisms I love. Plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes. Has, you know, the BGG weight and the rating you have to take with a grain of salt. It's got 32 ratings. One of those is probably the designer, but the average rating right now is 7.9. The weight is at a 2. I don't know if that's the default or not. That's what Nature was. It's going to be a light game. It's described as a multi-layered, puzzly tile placement game set in the Great Barrier Reef. It is the same designer as Wondrous Creatures. So I think my decision to back this was the combination of seeing Neon Gorella's review of Wondrous Creatures and totally regretting not backing that, and then seeing Rado's sort of partial playthrough and review of a prototype on his channel. But what impressed me was watching them play it and looking at how it played. And I don't actually remember the details because that's been a couple months now, but I do remember thinking, oh, we will all like that. I think as a family we will like that. So that was Shallow Sea. And then I talked about these next 3 before, so I just wanted to update that and say that I did decide to back them. I think it was going to be an insta-back anyway, but these are 3 science-themed games from Timashov Publishing, probably pronouncing that wrong. Previous games that this publisher has done, Photo Tour North America, which I didn't back because it looked a little too simple for me, and then Pacific Ocean, which I do really want to play, but I have not. So the 3 games are DNA, The New Origin of Species, which is a pattern building set collection game for 1 to 4 players, plays in 45 to 75 minutes. I think when I talked about these before, they had no information on BGG, but now they each have their pages. And then Habitopia, which is an open drafting, layering, it says tile placement, but if I recall correctly, this is just cards. Auction and bidding game for 1 to 4 players, plays in 15 to 20 minutes, and I liked the look of that one as well. The one I know the least about is Synthesis, The Molecular Journey, but I think from the pictures that I saw, this is a roll and write with pattern building, and it looked pretty interesting. It looked light. Plays 1 to 8 players. I wonder if that 8, I don't know why it's limited to 8, but anyway, I guess we'll find out. 30 to 45 minutes. So I backed all 3 of those. I was going to back DNA, The New Origin of Species, just based on the name. But all 3 of them looked good enough to back all 3 of them. So I did that. Next up, I backed the expansion for Circle the Wagons. This is the second shot expansion. So this is my copy of Circle the Wagons. This is a game that Jared and I love playing. It's very simple. It's an 18-card button shy game. And all you do in this one is first of all, you shuffle up the cards and randomly choose 3 of them, and they're double-sided. So on one side they'll have a goal, and on the other side they have these 4 quadrants. That's redundant. Anyway, you're going to pick the 3 goals randomly, and then the rest of the cards you'll lay out in a circle. So I've probably got a picture up on the screen right now. And you take turns drafting a card out of the circle. But here is the tricky part. When you choose a card, it either has to be the next one in the circle from the one your opponent chose last, or any card you skip goes to your opponent for free. So it's pretty fun. It plays very quickly, and what you're doing is those cards that you're drafting get put into your player area as a grid, but just like Nimalia, they're overlapping. They have to overlap. No, wait, these ones don't have to overlap. So they can overlap, or they can go right next to each other, and you can turn them. And you can't turn them sideways, but they can either go straight up or upside down. And anyway, you're building patterns, and kind of like Sprawlopolis, you're going to count how many little rectangles you have for each habitat type, and then you're going to count for the 3 goals. So similar to Sprawlopolis in that regard, but you're not building a route like you are in Sprawlopolis. So that's Circle the Wagons. I love that game. No solo mode. It's a 2-player game. 2-player only, takes about 15 minutes. All right, so those were the crowdfunding games that I backed in October and November. I've already mentioned one that I backed in December, and that was 52 Realms, but that Kickstarter has ended, so maybe I'll talk more about that in the next vlog, because this one's already going to go long. I can't think of what else I've backed in December. I don't think I backed anything else. I almost backed First Monday in October, and then talked myself out of it just because I've backed too many things, budget, you know. Anyway, on to other stuff, as I have it labeled in my notes. The 2024 People's Choice Top 200 Solo Games. So this is organized by somebody who is associated with the One Player Guild in Board Game Geek. So I looked through the top 200 solo games. It's a great list. You should go check it out. I'll put a link down in the description. But I counted, and I could be off by one or two, but I counted 27 channel relevant games on the list. I own all of those but 6. Let's see, the 6 that I don't own are Palm Island, Conserve Us. I'm probably saying that wrong. That was one that recently fulfilled from a Kickstarter, or maybe it just recently funded for a Kickstarter. I can't remember. Anyway, it looks interesting. I don't have Everdell. I'm probably the last person on the planet to not have Everdell, but I don't have Everdell. I wouldn't mind having it. Earthborn Rangers, I've heard is good. I don't know much about it. Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Now, I have the original Terraforming Mars, which I love. I'm not sure I would like Ares Expedition, but I'd be willing to give it a try. And then I don't have Spirit Island. What I do have is not up here anymore. Oh, I think it's up on the shelf over there. I have Horizons of Spirit Island, which is the Target version, the baby version of Spirit Island. So I haven't played that yet. I'm looking forward to trying it at some point. Of note, the ones that I did want to mention, I have videos up for Meadow, Earth, Darwin's Journey, Harmonies, Cascadia, and Arc Nova. Wow, pretty good. And special shout out to Darwin's Journey, because that's one of my all-time favorite games. So if you haven't checked out that video, please check it out. Another one that ended up in the top 200 was Endeavor Deep Sea, which is notable. That came out at 156, but that's notable because it just got released this year. And mostly it's only Kickstarter backers that have it so far. It is out in retail now, but it hasn't been out very long in retail. So that's pretty impressive. It's an awesome game. You should check it out. Let's see, was there anything else I wanted to mention? I have played Scoventeer. Oh, I don't have Apiary. Is another one that I don't have. And I was just going to ask you guys, so this is Bees in Space. I have not played Apiary. I have not watched a playthrough. Is it channel relevant? If you've played Apiary, what do you think? Would it be something that I would cover on the channel? It's space bees. So the bees work, and I guess the designer has said that the original game was going to be bees on Earth, not in space. So I can't remember how that happened, but anyway. I do have Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I've not played it yet. I do have Revive. Have not played that yet. Let's see, what else did I want to mention? There's Food Chain Island, A Gentle Rain. A Gentle Rain's good. I'll probably play that at some point for the channel. Orchard, 9-card solitaire game. I actually picked up on a Black Friday sale for a print and play, and so eventually I'll play that. And then one that I want to get is for Northwood, a solo trick-taking game, but I've not played that one, but I've heard is fabulous. So anyway, that's the People's Choice Top 200 solo games. A not very organized commentary on a few of the games. There you go. Coming sometime in January, I will do a top 10 solo games. This is a request from a patron supporter. So I will do top 10 solo games, and I'll probably do an additional top 10, like an 11 through 20 for Patreon supporters. However, games I still want to play before I make that list, Revive, Orchard, the one I just mentioned, Undergrove, which I got as a Secret Santa gift this year, so I'm looking forward to playing that. Trailblazers, which is over there. Daybreak, I would like to play. Honeybuzz, which I just got recently. Diatoms, where is that one? Oh, I think it's downstairs right now. It's a Kickstarter that just fulfilled recently. So Diatoms, Bandata, and Songbirds, which are 2 little card games for shuffle if I find a good solo mode. So my understanding is that this original version of Forest Shuffle does not play solo. I think the Alpine expansion includes, I can't talk all of a sudden, includes a solo mode. I can't find the Alpine expansion anywhere. It's sold out everywhere. So if there is a good fan-made solo mode on BGG, and I've heard there is, but I have to research that because there's at least 2 or 3 of them, then I will play that before I make my top 10 list. And I would like to revisit some games. So these will all be channel relevant games, not just top 10 of everything. There's some games that I haven't played in a while that I would like to go back and play before I make this list, just so I can accurately put them sort of in the queue. But that's coming in January. That is my goal, to get it out in January. Probably be towards the end of January, given how many games I have to play. Okay, next up, I just want to talk about a couple of December gaming challenges that I'm doing right now. And the reason I'm talking about them now and not in the December vlog is one of them is especially more relevant right now because Christmas is next week. As I am recording this, I'm hoping to get this video released on Monday, which is day after tomorrow. So we'll see. It takes me a long time to edit these vlogs. But I'm doing two December gaming challenges. One is the Advent challenge and the other one is a Dicember challenge. And I'll put a link to the gaming challenge community down in the description in case you're interested in that. So there's lots of fun gaming challenges if that's something you're interested in. I know some people are totally opposed to them. Totally fine. Skip ahead with the timestamps if you want. Anyway, the Advent challenge is really fun because you play a game each day matching a particular theme. So every day in December, the 1st through the 24th. Based on this year, it's based on scenes from Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol. So it's different themes every year. So actually, when I wrote these notes, it was Thursday. It's a whole story about why I didn't record this on Thursday. Anyway, I'll read you Thursday's prompt. So it reads a little bit out of Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol. It says, Scrooge giddily returns to his own bed on Christmas Day. Yes, and the bedpost was his own. The bed was his own. The room was his own. Best and happiest of all, the time before him was his own to make amends in. And so the prompt is play a game that features the passage of time or time travel. We needed a quick game that night, so we played Cartographers, which is played over 4 seasons. I wanted to play Mariposas that night, but I have not taught that one to anybody else. I've only played it solo. And so that's going to take a little bit of extra time, and I just didn't have the bandwidth to teach that night a new game to everybody. Okay, so that's the Advent challenge. And if you want to see what I'm up to on that, you can go to, I'll put a link down in the description. I don't think you can get there from my profile page. Anyway, next one is the Dicember challenge. So this is playing games with dice through the month of December. There's different levels. Normal level is play 15 unique dice games. Extreme level is 31 unique dice games. And only plays in December count for this one. So I've been playing a different dice game every day. I'm hoping I can keep that up for all of December without any repeats, but we'll see. So that is the Dicember challenge that happens every December. And so that's a lot of fun. So again, I'll put a link to the gaming challenge community in the description. They are putting together the 2025 challenges right now. That list is available. There are still new challenges being added. And it's fun. The reason, I think I talked about this maybe in my first ever vlog. I do have a blog post about it, the gaming challenges. And the reason I enjoy them, although I bit off a little too much this year and gave up on a few of them, but I like them because they force me to look at my collection in a different way. I guess force isn't the right word, encourage. And encourage me to get games to the table that I might not have gotten to the table. So one of the challenges that I'm participating in is a calendar challenge. So Katya, cannot remember her last name, but she is an artist who does collages using board game, I'll put some pictures up right about now, using board game pieces, like meeples and that sort of thing. And she does these beautiful collages. I actually have this right here. Is this from? This I think is from Clank. Let's see, put it forward. And there we go. This is not the calendar, obviously. This is a coaster that I have right here. So this was from me backing that last year, but it just shows you her artwork. I'll put some more up on the screen. And anyway, in her calendar, she has 3 challenges each month. And so I'm part of a gaming challenge that gets us to play those games. So for instance, anyway, now I am rambling because it is evening and that's what I do in the evening. I ramble. So let's stop rambling. Link to the gaming challenge community in the description. I have a lot of fun with that. If you have questions about it, put them in the comments. I would love to answer your questions. And speaking of comments, I'll speak of comments in just a minute. Channel news. So we now have 465 subscribers, which is amazing. Previously in the September vlog, it was 372, so almost 100 more in the past month, which is incredible to me. We only need 35 more subscribers to reach 500, so please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. That would be awesome. It's encouraging to me. It helps get YouTube to share my videos with more people, and it might help me with getting review copies of games, which would allow me to cover more games on the channel. Now, I caveat that with right now, I've still got a backlog of my own games that I've purchased with my own money to cover. So I have plenty right now, but it would be nice to get that up a little bit. And this actually brings me to another topic. I will apologize right now for any of my videos where you see mid-roll ads. So I'm filming this in December of 2024. And I hope to never have mid-roll ads because I don't like them. I can't remove them until I hit 1,000 subscribers, because until I hit 1,000 subscribers, I don't have access to those controls that allow me to manipulate advertising for my videos. So get me to 1,000 subscribers so I can remove the mid-roll ads. I'm not a fan of mid-roll ads. Two of my favorite YouTube channels to watch are I like watching the Dice Tower for their varied views, and they don't have mid-roll ads unless somebody forgets to push that button on the live stuff. And then also the Gaming Rules channel with Paul Grogan. He doesn't have mid-roll ads. And in fact, he donates all of his advertising dollars to charity, which I think is awesome because he is supported entirely by two revenue sources. One is patrons, and then two, he also does how to play and playthrough videos for publishers, and does a great job with that. So anyway, those are two of my favorite channels, a lot because they don't do mid-roll ads. So if you see any mid-roll ads in any of my videos, I'm really sorry. I can't do anything about it right now. I just wanted to mention that the videos with the highest proportion of likes, like if you do likes divided by views, are the mid-year board game tag and then all the vlogs. So those seem to be the most popular. I think for me anyway, the reason I watch those types of videos is because I like hearing people talking about a wide variety of games. And, the reason I go specifically to review videos is if I'm thinking about buying a game, right? Or if a game's new, I might be interested in that. But mostly I like watching videos where people are talking about a wide variety of games. So those ones do the best. Anyway, I told you I was working on a top 10 solo games video, so I'm working on that. And then I just want to say a great, huge, big thank you to all of you, especially those of you that hit the thumbs, the likes, if you like the videos, obviously. If you don't like them, don't thumb them, I guess. If you don't like them, let me know in the comments what you don't like, because if you don't tell me, I don't know, and I can't make them better. And I do, of course, love it when you leave me really nice comments, because those just make my day, and they make me smile. And I have gotten some lovely comments over this past month that have really helped boost my spirits as I have been slow getting content to the channel because I've been so busy, and so I was worried that I would just lose a bunch of subscribers and lose a bunch of you and lose your attention, and I'm so glad that you're still here, so thank you. Thumbs and comments also help YouTube know to share my videos with more people. So the more you comment, the more you thumb it up, the more you subscribe, the more the videos get shared to other people, and we'll find other people who maybe not have found them otherwise. So there you go. So that's my great big thank you. And I will see you in the next one. When will the next one be? I'll probably do at least one playthrough video. I don't know what'll be next. Probably, I actually had promised somebody already that I would do Koala Rescue Club, and that video won't take too long to either film or edit. So that'll probably be soon. I just want to play through more of the maps. And I did promise a Patreon supporter that I would do the Search for Lost Species, which I just played last week for the first time. So that will be coming up soon. And then probably after that, or maybe before that one, I'll do the December vlog and try and get that out early in January because I have some things to talk about. And other than that, that's all I have for you. So thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for liking and subscribing and all that stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.